Hey, welcome to another Remnant podcast where we believe that faith comes from hearing, and that is hearing from the Word of God. Listen, today's episode is titled Dream Boy. Last week we ended up doing, actually 2 weeks ago, we ended up starting our mini series called From Dreams to Reality. And last week we spoke to the boys and we ended up calling the podcast Dream Girl. But this week we are calling it Dream Boy. Dream Boy. So, what I want to do is I want to speak to you about a few things when it comes to the area of getting this dream boy of yours. Getting this dream boy of yours. So first one is this is don't have double standards. Boys in church versus boys outside of the church. Boys in church compare to boys outside of the church. Now, I know that last week I ended up speaking to the men out there and I gave them 3 simple steps when it comes to the area of finding their dream girl. And today, what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be giving you 3 simple steps, young ladies, in order to find your dream boy. In order to find your dream boy. I believe that if you pay attention to these and if you apply them, then there should be no reason why you shouldn't have someone by the end of this year. We know that is if that is a desire of your heart to be able to be married, then I believe that the Lord has someone special out there just for you. But anyway, so point number one. Last week, some of the ladies were very happy because I roasted the men, if you will, with certain areas. And this week, I said, ladies, don't get too excited because we are going to be speaking to you today. And the first point that I want to bring is this: is don't have double standards for boys in the church. Compare or versus to boys outside of the church. What do I mean by that? Well, it's very easy. Now, if you are a young lady, listen to this, you know that most often you have come to see me or you've probably gone to see your pastor, your youth pastor, your young adults pastor, and you said, Pastor, the boys inside the church are weird, and the boys outside of the church, they treat me so well. They open up the door for me. They pay for my meals. They act like men. But then when I look at the men inside the church, they end up acting like boys. Well, one of the things I want to tell you is do not have double standards. And I want to tell you what, because I have actually seen it this way. When the boys in church end up treating the young ladies in their church like they would outside of the church, the young ladies, what do they end up doing? They actually put up walls. They end up freaking out, if you will. What do I mean by that? I've seen sometimes young boys opening up the doors for this young lady and from church, and or they buy flowers or they start being nice because they are interested. And what do the young ladies do? Right away, the walls go up and say, uh-oh, what's going on here? You are being weird. Why are you opening the door for me? Why are you buying me flowers? Why are you being nice to me? And then what happens is immediately their thought process is this, well, he obviously likes me, but I don't like him. I don't see him like that. He is like a brother to me. Why is he doing this? It's so weird. And you go and tell your pastor right away how he's so weird. But yet, if this was a boy who was outside of the church, what young ladies would often be saying is, he is so nice. Pastor, he opens a door for me. Pastor, he bought me flowers. He pays for my meals. This is a man of my dreams. But then the double standard kicks in. And when it comes to the area of the church, he is weird. He is like a brother to me. Can I get an amen? Like, if you are listening to this young lady, you know that is the truth. Erica Petrata, she is clapping out there. And that's just the reality, right? We have these double standards for the boys inside of the church. So ladies, let me set you free. If a young man is doing that inside of the church, yes, he's most likely interested in you. He is being friendly. Don't put up walls. Don't right away start to criticize. All you got to do is say thank you and let that relationship evolve, and then you will make a decision. Now, before we get into point number two, point number three, I still want to stay on that point. It's very important that we don't have those double standards. Well, let me put it to you this way. Another thing, very accurate, right? Another thing, for example, that young ladies end up doing is they right away say, "Oh, he is being too nice," and that equals to being flirty. So when it comes to a young boy in church, if he's being nice, we automatically assume that he is being flirty. And then a boy outside of the church, if he's being flirty, what we're actually saying, we girls say, he is being so nice. So let's make sure that we don't have those double standards. Let the boys in church have a chance to be nice, to bring back, I forgot what the name is, but, just be polite, be nice, open the door, buy you some flowers, and all these things that inside of the church, we look at it as weird, but go ahead and do, and let that relationship move forward. So don't have double standards compared to the boys inside of the church and the boys outside of the church. To be honest with you, you should not even be entertaining any thought with the boys outside of the church. But I know that some of you have. So I'm telling you, stick with the boys inside of the church. Give them a chance, and you're going to see how most likely the boy of your dreams, it is actually sitting right next to you. Another thing that I would tell you is do not cut the attitude. And I know that sounds harsh, ladies. Cut the attitude. I'm not saying you are full of attitude, but I mean cut the attitude. Why? Because when these boys, yes, that's the word, Tama. I can't even say it. But basically, if you saw it on the chat, that is exactly what I was looking for. And so if you are, what I mean by cutting the attitude, this is what I mean, is when this boy opens up the door, when this boy buys you flour, when this boy takes you out for lunch, the first thing that you should be doing is not saying, wait a minute, what is happening right now? Like, I don't want any part of this. Don't criticize him, because if it was a boy outside of the church, you would be saying, thank you for opening up the door. Thank you for buying me coffee. And what happens with ladies inside of the church, when they end up doing those things, what do? Why are you treating me this way? Why are you doing this? Why are you doing that? And you question the boy. You question this young man who is actually, just trying to be nice, and you are questioning. Would you actually question a boy who's doing all those nice things for you outside of the church? Most likely not. But you question him when he is inside of the church. Why? Because unfortunately, you still have this mindset is, well, he is somebody I grew up with. He is somebody I know. He is a friend of the family. When in reality, he could potentially be your future spouse, but only if you stop cutting the attitude. What you do to that young man when you actually ask those questions, especially in public or to your friends or any of that stuff, what you're doing that is you're making him feel this small, if you will. You see that? That small. That is what you are making him feel. You are making him feel so small. So cut the attitude. It's very important that we cut the attitude. Another thing, that's so point number one, I said, don't have double standards, boys inside of the church and outside of the church. Number two, ladies, cut the attitude. I don't mean that you can't be strong women for the Lord, that you could be a strong lady, but also be kind. You could, you could be polite, be friendly, be all the things that you're supposed to be, and cut the attitude. And when you cut the attitude, what that does to a man, it actually builds confidence in him, and he will continue being nice. He will continue being friendly with you, and will become this boy of your dreams, if you will. Now, we're going to jump into point number three. And point number three is kind of divided into two, if you will. And I know that I'm going very quickly when it comes to today's podcast, but there's really, I believe that if you apply these 3 points in your life, they are really going to bless you. So point number three is know your list. As a young lady, you got to know your list. Now, you may be shocked. Maybe if you're watching this right now, you are thinking, Pastor Oscar, I know my list. I've known my list since I was 13 years of age. I know my list. I know that he is supposed to be tall, dark, and handsome. He's supposed to have a 6-figure salary. He is supposed to be, like the best thing that this world could ever have. He is supposed to be A, B, and C. And you know all the lists that you're supposed to have, right? And that is not a bad list. That is a somewhat of a good list. But really, the list that I'm speaking to you about is that you should know the list not about him, but the list about you. You should be interested in what is it that in my life I need to change. What is it in my life that I need to have? What is it in my life that I need to possess? Erica Petrara said, man, you read my list. Tall, dark, and handsome, right? He needs to be 6 feet tall. But the reality is this, you should know your own list. What does that mean? Not the list for him, but the list for you. Because the thing is, sometimes even ladies will go as far as to say, well, you know what, Pastor, I know my list. I know all these things, A, B, and C. I also want a boy who is going to be in my church, but he's not from the pool that we have right now. He is going to get saved. He's going to come into the house, and then he's, every girl's going to want to be after him, but he's going to choose me. And then he's going to lift up his hands, and he will never tell me that we have to choose another church or we're going to move somewhere else. No, we are going to stay in the church where I grew up forever. That's the reason girls are still single after that long list. Yeah, 100%, right? So a lot of the times that's what ladies end up doing. No. If he tells me that he has to move to another country, well, he does not check off that list, so therefore it will not work. And I'm just telling you right now, that is it's an okay list to have, but it's not the list that we should be focusing on. I will tell you what list you should be focusing on, and that is found in Proverbs 31, young ladies. Proverbs 31 is the list that you should know by heart, not the other one, tall, dark, and handsome, but really Proverbs 31. And I just want to read it to you. And boys, if you are listening to this podcast, it is actually very good that you listen to Proverbs 31 or go ahead and read it, because the thing is, when you are looking for a spouse, these are some of the things that you should be looking for in a young lady. So Proverbs 31 says this, verse 10. It says, who can find a virtuous woman and a capable wife? She is more precious than rubies. Her husband can trust her. Let me just stop there. That is a great quality to have, young lady. If you are making a list, write it on your list. Am I somebody who is trustworthy? Am I somebody who is trustworthy? Let's keep going. It says, and she will greatly enrich, her husband can trust her, and she will greatly enrich his life. She brings him good, not harm, all the days of her life. She finds wool and flax and busily spins it. I know that some of you ladies are listening to this and saying, what does this have to do with me? Pastor, that is so old. But no, the principle will be applied to now. And you're going to see it in just a second. She finds wool and flax and busily spins it. She is like a merchant ship, bringing her food from afar. She gets up before dawn to prepare breakfast for her household and plan the day's work for her servant girl. She goes to inspect a field and buys it with her earnings. She plants a vineyard. She is energetic and strong. Young ladies, are you energetic? Are you strong? I know that some of you are listening to this. You're saying, Pastor, these are things that a married woman should be doing. Yes, these are things that a married woman should be doing. But if you actually want to be someone's bride, someone's wife, then these are things that you should be aspiring to do. For example, right now, you may not be waking up in the morning and making breakfast for your spouse and for your husband and your children, but you could definitely start practicing waking up in the morning. Why not serving and making breakfast for your siblings, making breakfast for your mother and father before they go off to work? These are some of the things that you could be doing in order to become to have a servant's heart and be a woman who is virtuous. Now, verse 16, verse 18, she makes sure her dealings are profitable. Her lamp burns late into the night. Her hands are busy spinning thread, her fingers twisting fiber. She extends a helping hand to the poor and opens her arms to what? The needy. She has no fear of winter, for her household for her household, for everyone has warm clothes. Verse 22, she makes her own bedspreads. She dresses in fine linen and purple gowns. Her husband is well known at the city gates where he sits with the other civic leaders. She makes her belted linen garments and sashes to sell to the merchants. Verse 25, she is clothed with strength and dignity. Man, those are great qualities to have on your list, young lady. Are you clothed with strength and dignity? And she laughs without fear of the future. I love that. When she speaks, her words are wise and she gives instructions with kindness. Now, I know a lot of you ladies like to boss people around. And you know what? If you're a strong young woman, wonderful. But when you give instructions, give it with kindness. Give it with kindness. Let's keep going. Verse 27, she carefully watches everything in her household and suffers nothing from laziness. Now, you may be watching this saying, Pastor, I am not lazy. I know I may not be everything on that list that you're reading right now, but I'm definitely not lazy. Well, I'll tell you this. Some of you are. Some of you listen to this are. Unfortunately, you are lazy. Don't go to bed so late so that you don't wake up at 3 in the morning. Some of you say, oh, Pastor, I don't let the world see me until after 3 in the afternoon. Well, let me tell you, that's lazy. Wake up early, put on your makeup, do whatever it takes, wash your face. Do not be lazy. It's crazy because that thing resonated both in the men, and I believe it's going to resonate also with our women, with our young ladies. So do not be lazy. Don't just be that woman that says, no, after 3 p.m., I will do everything I need to get. No. Wake up early in the morning. It would actually prepare you, because when you have children, they got to go to school. When you have a husband, all these things, if you are ready ahead of time, man, that's going to be that you are a virtuous woman. So be clothed with strength and dignity. And then I love this. She suffers nothing from laziness. Her children stand and bless her. Her husband praises her. That's what happens to you when you are a virtuous woman. And there are many virtuous and capable women in the world, but you surpass them all. That's something I tell my wife all the time. There are many capable women out there. But you surpass them all. Baby, if you listen to this, give me a thumbs up. And anyways, verse 30 says this charm. This is where I wanted to get towards the end. Verse 30 says, charm is deceptive and beauty does not last. But a woman who fears the Lord will be greatly praised. Now, the scripture is telling us, the scripture is telling us, the charm is deceptive and beauty does not last. Young men, if you're listening to this right now, this is what the scriptures say. But when you are old and gray, you look at your wife and never say those words, beauty does not last. You look at her in the eyes and you say, woman, you are as beautiful as you were when you were 16, 17, 19, whatever age you got married, and you look at her in the eyes and you say those things. But definitely, young ladies, listen to this. Do not be concerned about beauty only, about things from the outside. Do not be concerned just about like having a list for this young man, but not really paying attention to the list about yourself. Don't just be concerned about charm of any of these things, but really focus on the thing that matters. And the thing that matters is this: a woman who fears the Lord will be greatly praised. And the last verse is, reward her for all she has done. Let her deeds publicly declare her praise. Young ladies, I'm telling you right now, if you want to get your dream boy, instead of doing what the world tells you about having a list for them, make sure that you have a list for yourself and work on yourself. Follow the things of, be completely sold out to the things of the Heavenly Father. Be completely sold out to the things of heaven. Be completely sold out to the mission that God has called you. But at the same time, be ready. Do not criticize. Don't have double standards for the boys outside of the church and the boys inside of the church. Treat them as if they were from the outside. And what I mean by that is, when you give those men an opportunity, when you give those boys an opportunity, give the boys inside of the church an opportunity. Don't look at them like they're aliens and they're weird because they're being nice, because they're opening the door. that they're, they're just being, they're being young men, they're being young boys who are interested in you. Give them an opportunity, and I'll tell you this, you will be surprised, because what you are now calling weird, looking at those young men inside of the church, eventually you will be saying, man, he was always so cute, he was always very polite, he was always this. It's time that, young ladies, we don't look at the world and look at, what Hollywood portrays, and go into like, oh, I want that bad boy, and that boy, like that's what I want. No, let's look at good boys, because good boys actually become good husbands and not bad husbands. And that is all that I wanted to share with you today. That is honestly everything. But one of the things that I'm going to ask you to do is, I want you to actually share this broadcast. Go ahead and give it a thumbs up. Go ahead and comment. I saw some of your comments, but I do want you to comment. Let me know what you appreciated. Let me know what made you laugh. Let me know, like if you're excited for the next one, like whatever it is, let us know. Really, it means the world to us when you go ahead and share it. We're also going to have this on a podcast form. So if you want to go ahead and share the podcast, that is totally up to you. Once again, thank you guys for watching today's broadcast. We cannot wait to see you next week, Tuesday with Eric Machada and Wednesday with me. We'll see you guys. Peace out.